I'm so interested in seeing what him and Quinn Ewers do this year. There's been so much hype.
We should have a pretty dangerous running back in Blake Corum.
Maryland's gone. Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
A little too backyard football.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it's Wednesday night. Now you see my face. Oh, yeah, but I got to talk. I got to talk, and we got to talk college because I got these two guys with me, and I'm super excited to get down and dirty in some of these conversations. But you know who I'm with, my normal partner on the Saturday show, Mr. Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. I was just watching that intro, and it's crazy to think of when we started this before the college football season started, and now we're right near the end. It's been one hell of a ride.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's funny because think about some of the guys that we talked about. Kate talked about Blake Corum, who up until just a couple weeks ago was Heisman, definitely in the Heisman hype. I was talking about Quinn Ewers and Sarkisian, those guys. And then obviously we had you talk about Talia playing a little backyard ball. I mean, everything came out. I love it. I absolutely love it. And one of the best parts of this journey is we've been able to bring a couple guys on here to be with us. And when we get to bring legends on, guys that have their own thing on the side. Oh, yeah. Oh, we got to definitely get down. Yo, welcome in my guy, Collin P. from the DMV, repping that SEC and UGA, the Georgia Bulldogs, trying to make it as long as Anthony does for you.
Don't know if you got enough fingers. We're working on like half the other hand now.
What is going on, Collin? How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, just living the dream, man. Enjoying this #1 top spot, and just enjoying the football season. Like you guys were saying, quite a few things have changed since the beginning of the season, and all the outlooks and everything have just kind of turned upside down and sideways. But hey, and I'm like you, man. I'm sad to see it come to an end. But hey, enjoy it while it's still here,
Oh, absolutely. Hey, and this is that time of the year that it gets exciting. And even a lot of people, if you're in one of the top 4 bowls in the CFP, that's it for your team. So you're definitely locked in. But a lot of these other little smaller schools, they have these other bowls, the Cheez-It Bowl, the Holiday Bowl.
That's only the Tiger Bowl. Come on.
Yeah, the Tiger, right?
The Mayo Bowl, the Potato Bowl.
Yeah, bro.
Come on now. I love it. I just love seeing the new bowls that they come up with. I'm like, oh, what is this?
Jimmy Kimmel's got a bowl game.
See?
Yeah.
Yo, and ladies and gentlemen, you have to watch these because at the end, sometimes crazy things happen. Like the Cheez-It Bowl, I believe they dumped Cheez-Its on him. We lost last year, thankfully, actually, when you see this. We lost in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Mayo as in mayonnaise. The winner was Coach Beaver from South Carolina, and they dumped a whole thing of mayonnaise on him after the game.
I remember that.
I don't need that.
You know what surprised me, man? They should have, after everything that happened like this year, they should have a French's Bowl. They should have a Mustard Bowl now. They had a Mayo Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Right?
A French's Bowl now, so.
They have to. You know how much money they'd make off that? You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. So, we are glad you're here with us. This is college football update, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, the college football season is almost over, like our guy Collin said, but it is not over yet. And there is so much stuff that we have to talk about. So let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know we're going to start this way. We're going to start this a little differently. Normally we hit this topic at the end of the show, but we're going to start it early because we got four left, ladies and gentlemen.
With team success comes individual success. So without y'all.
Yeah, buddy. So we have 4, ladies and gentlemen, 4 finalists for the Heisman Trophy. And these 4 finalists, ladies and gentlemen, are guys that we they've been doing great for their teams. They've definitely been the leaders, elevated their team above maybe their normal play. And look, they've had moments. They've absolutely had moments. So I'm going to give you the 4 real quick, and then we're going to break it down. All right, Caleb Williams, USC. quarterback. Max Duggan, TCU quarterback. Stetson Bennett, one national title under his belt. Look for 2, quarterback, Georgia. And the 4th guy on this list, Ohio State, CJ Stroud, back in the Heisman race. Alex, I'm coming to you first. First, are you surprised by this at all? Or what are your thoughts?
Based on how the season ended, I'm not surprised that we got this Final Four. I'm glad Stetson got in because he's absolutely deserved to be in this discussion. And he was kind of getting forgotten a little bit. So congrats to him on getting in. I mean, obviously you had Caleb was in there all year. Stroud was the front runner all year. Max Duggan, he couldn't have been ignored for what he was doing at TCU. You had like Corum get hurt for their biggest game of the year. So obviously he kind of fell off. Hendon Hooker, unfortunately, had that ACL injury. He fell off. Bryce Young just couldn't do enough to carry that Alabama team. Those 2 losses kind of pushed him aside. So I'm not surprised with the Final Four we got, but I just wish everyone could have been healthy and played the way they were playing all year, so it would have been a little more interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you wish you could have seen some of that because, like you said, there's a Blake Corums who have absolutely stellar years and weren't able to get it done. And also with that, you had injuries, but also you had losses. Let's be honest. Hendon Hooker, yes, he definitely got hurt, but after having that loss against Georgia, things just weren't the same. And you go to our guy who we've been talking about all year long, Drake May. Drake May, 8-1, Heisman voters, everybody, they came to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and want to talk to him. You're looking, he's getting hyped and proceeded to lose the next 2 games. You know what I mean? And then even though the numbers were amazing, he was definitely out of the picture, out of the Heisman picture. Now, somebody that jumped up into the Heisman picture, and I'm coming to you, Collin, I got to say it. I talked to you about it mid-season. He is the best quarterback on the best team. And now I say best quarterback, I don't mean by stats wise necessarily, but he is the straw that stirs that drink. And in my opinion, he's very deserving of being in this conversation. What do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I agree totally. I mean, he's in my opinion, I'm not trying to sound biased or anything, but he's deserved to be in the conversation for a while now. He's just been on the outside. But I mean, you can't. I mean, honestly, you can't look past these guys here. I mean, all these quarterbacks have great numbers, over 3,000 yards this season. I mean, their quarterback rating is over 60%. I mean, 63% overall, and great numbers and everything. And maybe we were talking about off camera. They were talking about maybe stats. A lot of people tend to focus on stats and all that kind of stuff. But what you said, the straw that stirs the drink. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of other players do that. But I mean, Stetson, I mean, if you want to tack on the story he's had along to that, he's, in my opinion, he's the total package, right? I mean, like coming from walk-on to the national championship to playing for his second one. And am I saying he wins all the games? Absolutely not. And even when he was nominated or actually declared a finalist, he was actually said he was embarrassed. He said, like, I'm embarrassed because there's a lot of people on this team that make me look good. So that's the humility of the guy, and that's another thing that that speaks volumes of him. So I'm glad he's getting a look, and getting kind of the recognition he was, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion that he deserves. But I mean, all these guys. I mean, like it's a shame that a lot of other players can't be in this be a finalist. But
Oh yeah, and then look, this year is back to kind of what I feel is normal. Last year, look, it was kind of a little different with Aiden Hutchinson, albeit well deserving to be in that spot. That's not where we're used to. We're used to 4 quarterbacks being in here, or two other major players. But we have these 4 quarterbacks you talked about, all over 3,000 yards, all balling out. And if you just strictly stare at the numbers, they can be deceiving because you're not looking at team success, but then you're also not looking at the moments that some of these guys have had. I want to come to you, Alex, because we talked about it before. CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, even Stetson Bennett, high-profile teams, big name guys that have been in the limelight either for their accolades or their team's accolades. But then you look at Max Duggan. you know, a little with a red head, a little scruffy, little up in there, not somebody that you're gonna. If you line these four guys up, he's definitely gonna be the one that's like different. He's the one which one does not belong, essentially.
Yeah.
But between the lines, when you get him out there and get him with his team, what he's shown this year and what he showed in that conference championship against Kansas State, he's the truth, man. He absolutely is, man. What do you think about this guy?
Man, he's the one player that scares me in that matchup New Year's Eve, because I've been one of these guys. You can go back multiple shows where I've been like, okay, this is the week TCU loses. This is the week TCU falls. This is the week they just don't do enough. And Max Duggan has proven me wrong every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you look at that Big 12 championship game. Yes, they lost. They were down 2 touchdowns very late in that game. Right. And Duggan absolutely willed that team to be tied.
Yeah.
Like they scored that touchdown and he's literally shoving teammates off because he can barely get himself to the sideline.
Yes.
Like, you want to talk about Heisman moments. Had they won that game, he runs away with this.
Hands down. Absolutely.
But just what he's done this season to take only the second ever time that an unranked team beginning the season makes the playoff. Obviously, we were the first ones last year. But for him to do that with a smaller school like TCU that doesn't normally get that national recognition, it's just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah, and he definitely deserves all of the credit, all the attention that he's getting, and he deserves to be in this conversation.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, Collin, and these 4 numbers are, like we said, well deserving. But like we also talked about, there are names that are not on that list. Blake Corum, Michigan, Hendon Hooker. We brought his name up earlier, and you, even in the list you showed us, there's some people that are bitter about that. And he had a great year up until the Georgia game around that time, and then obviously, unfortunately, the injury. Talk to me about that, man. Was he snubbed, or is this kind of the way things go, kind of like Matt Corral last year?
Well, I mean, you kind of just said it there. Basically, what it just, to me, it just the meaning of the Heisman is a little bit vague, which I understand is why it's vague, or what have you. It's I hate to say it's a popularity contest, but I mean it kind of sort of is. But and in my opinion, I mean, a lot of the arguments, a lot of the debates are about stats, and unfortunately, some of these guys that win the Heisman don't have the greatest stats. I mean, and a lot of people that don't make the list have great stats that should be looked at. I don't know. I mean, Hendon Hooker is a perfect example. I mean, had he not gotten injured, I mean, he still had stellar numbers. So I mean, should you? I mean, and another question in my mind is, should you win your conference? Like, should you have win your conference championship in order to be even considered to be a Heisman candidate? These are questions. I mean, obviously probably been asked before. But obviously, I don't have the ability to make those kind of decisions. But it would be. I just wish there was like kind of like outline checklist. That these players could. They need to take these boxes off. Instead of leaving it up in the air. Just so everybody's happy. Which, I mean, I don't think you make everybody happy, but
Well, yeah,
you're never going to make everyone happy, but.
Let's address that. We definitely will not make everybody happy. But Alex, to his question, like, what is it that they're looking for? We know the Heisman moment, but break that down. What is the Heisman moment? What is it that says this is the guy?
It's these moments where, like, for example, if you look at these past winners, I'll use Joe Burrow as an example. There's specific moments in that season that people still remember and talk about. That game versus Alabama, that conference championship game, that beat down of Oklahoma, that beat down of Clemson. Like, there's specific moments like that get remembered for years after, that tend to be where Collin said it's the popularity contest. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, it essentially is that it's whoever has the most moments that get people talking, essentially. Yeah. So for Hendon Hooker taking down Alabama and just some of these games he had, obviously he was one of the front runners there. Caleb Williams with that UCLA game, Max Duggan with that game last week, and pretty much every freaking game this year. Like, it's just it's hard to describe how they go about the Heisman.
Yeah. Because you never really can tell where they're leaning because there have been years
different year to year.
Like, exactly. Because I'm not even gonna lie to you. Even last year coming in, again, and Alex, this is not even a slight to you, but Aiden Hutchinson had a great year, but in my opinion, I didn't think he was that great. I didn't think not just that great, but Heisman is some difference, and it was Ohio State. Him doing what he did in Ohio State, he had that moment, and to me, it was kind of like, that's what it's about. That can seriously propel you above stats, above anything. I mean, it helped that they went undefeated and they were unranked, and they kind of did. The story helped as well. But it was like, wow, look how high they moved up. And for context, ladies and gentlemen, quarterback is pretty much the favorite Heisman winner position. Defense is scarce, and defensive line is almost impossible. So to have him as the runner-up lets you know how amazing Aiden Hutchinson really was in college.
Yeah, it took 15 sacks and multiple tackles for losses to be in the conversation. He ended up getting second, but it took that much to even be in the conversation.
Yeah. So craziness. What's going on, Anthony Handy? Talking about wake up now.
No, sorry guys, my son just came down here, so he was just bothering me.
That's all good.
So we say, what's up, man? What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
He should be in bed.
I like the pajamas.
Go bed.
Let's go. I love it.
Oh, that's what's awesome.
Up. B-Man in the building.
It's 11 o'clock. He go, man.
Yo, I'm coming to you, Collin.
Right, come on.
Here it is right now. Give me your two runners up and give me the guy that's taking it on Heisman night.
Two runners up. I don't really know, man. I mean, my heart wants to go to Stetson. I mean, I got to be a homer. I want him to
do
be
it. Do it.
In a minute. And I mean, he deserves it. I mean, but you got C.J. Stroud, and I don't know how much Caleb Williams. I mean, he's the front runner. There's no doubt. But I mean, like we were talking before about him painting his nails. I don't know. There's kind of start. So it's the what you bring to your team, and what it says about your favorite team. It's just I want Stetson. I mean, Stetson's going to be the guy, and I think C.J. Stroud's going to be the runner-up, and I think Caleb's going to be third, actually, just because of that.
Ooh, I like that. Do you agree, or what do you think, Alex?
I actually think it's going to go to Max Duggan. That's where I'm leaning right now. And then I've got Caleb. I got Caleb second and Stetson third. I think Stroud, the way he played versus Michigan in a couple of these games late, struggling against Northwestern, struggling against Maryland, I think that pushes him to fourth.
Oh yeah. Now I'm gonna clip this later and edit it and put it through, but I have to give you this, man.
That make me crazy.
Wow. But you have a point. Absolutely. I mean, he has, especially as of late, he has played out of his mind, and bringing a team like TCU, who's not a perennial power, unless you're from the old school of the 50s and 60s when they were dominating. Texas Christian has not been one of these perennial powers, and to have them in this spot, even, and to show you how good they were, even after their loss, they still stay put at number 3. I definitely think you have to put him up there. For me, I don't know if you guys wanted to hear this, Georgia boys, but I'm doing it, man. I got to say Stetson. I think he's the best guy on the best team. He's a leader. I don't think they lose, unfortunately. Sorry, Alex, but I think they just run straight through, and I think you give it to him as a result. But I think Duggan is number 2. I just think he has just shown that he is a gutsy, just takes no prisoners, like leave it all out there type of guy. And I think you have to recognize that. You have to. If anybody that watched that Kansas State game in the conference championship, to see, like you said, they were down 14. It looked over, and the game was like Deuce Vaughn was having himself. He was actually positioning himself for the Heisman because he was trying to sit here and win the thing himself. But Max Duggan continued to come back and continued to lead that team. And did it, like you said, barely able to walk off the field, but brushing guys off. Like, don't let them see me hurt because they're going to take me out. Let's keep going. So I think he has to. And yes, Mr. F Utah, that didn't work out for you, buddy. But you're going to be a number 3. Sorry, Caleb. Because I do think they do recognize that. I do think there is something to say about, Jameis got it. He was kind of funky with some of his things, but it's a character thing. They don't, you know what I mean? And it's one thing if Ohio State and Michigan do it to each other, but Utah, USC, is that a major rivalry?
No. Well, I mean, it might be now, but.
Right.
It's kind of like old boy from Oklahoma. Just got traded. Just got picked up. Yeah, Baker. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's go. Is that?
I mean, when you think
it's going to be Caleb.
For me with Max, you just think about when me and you were talking on Saturday there, where we were like, man, this game's over, and then like that, it was like, and now we're right back in the game again. Like,
right.
It's just, that was absolutely insane. I mean,
in games.
We're at the point right now where the way the season ended for all these guys, any one of these guys could walk away with it.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Like,
and I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know that I'd be disappointed and if anybody wanted, like,
no,
anyone. I thoroughly believe in Caleb Williams, and I saw what he did even through injury. Stetson has thoroughly impressed me all year long. Max Duggan, you'd have to be blind not to see what he's did. And CJ Stroud, I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And he, he has Marvin Harrison, but Smith and Jigba has been hurt. You know what I mean? His running game's been hurt. He's been struggling here and out, but he still slings it. He still gets it done. So
I have a question to pose to you guys. I mean, I saw this conversation going on one of the other SEC groups, but somebody had said, even a Georgia fan, or I believe it was a Georgia fan, said that anybody on the team, anybody could be a quarterback on our team, because of Brock Bowers. So they said Brock Bowers, deserves a nod. And, I went back at him. I was like, look, man, I said, Stetson spreads the ball around. I said, yeah, granted, it is a blessing to have Bowers because, I mean, his yards after catch is just, incredible. And he brings down the ball if it's in his vicinity. Same with Big O. I mean, like our 2 tight ends are beasts. But, I mean, to say that, say you pull Cox or Vandergriff off the bench, I mean, no, because, I mean, like Stetson's been there. He has a rapport with the team. And, he knows the playbook, and he's been there long enough. These guys coming off the bench, I just don't see it. So and that's coming from probably the hatred, just not people just don't like, Stetson.
Well, yeah. And you know that. Yeah, you know that. You know about how even in your own fan base, they have an issue with him, and that's criminal.
Yeah,
that's terrible that they do that. But look, it's something to be said for somebody that's started as many games as he has in back-to-back seasons, and not only has he started these games, 1 loss to Alabama, who I think that should be wiped out because they beat them in the national championship. But then, I mean, that's the only loss that he's had, and he's played back-to-back years in the SEC and incredibly tough games all throughout the year. And I'm sorry, when I saw him play against Tennessee, and he scored the touchdown and just did like this, and then did the backstory on how the Tennessee players and fans were calling him and everything. That essentially is like Marshawn Lynch diving into the end zone, grabbing his part.
I mean, he wasn't going to be denied. I mean, he wasn't going to be denied. No way. So
that is as much to me a Heisman moment as anything else.
I was just about to say the same thing.
You have to, because we know the movies. We know about how this stuff plays out, how these guys try to get whatever edge they can. Stetson, man, he's that guy, and he needs that credit. He needs that recognition right now. And I hope
everything else. There ain't much more the kid can do. I mean, just right off into the sunset after all this.
Hey, enjoy it. Hey, and I'm gonna leave it off like this. If Bennett wins the Heisman, he will never pay for a meal anywhere in the state of Georgia ever again. Absolutely.
Does now.
Well, right. Right. Yo, so ladies and gentlemen, we have to go ahead and move right along on this list. And we've got the finalists, and in those finalists, we have 3 of
the
them.
4 are playing.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 will get their opportunity on the national stage to potentially get themselves an opportunity to win it all. And we're going to go into the bowl watch. The New Year's 6 bowl games have come out, and I'm going to start with the other ones and lead up into the major bowl. So we are going to start Orange Bowl, Tennessee versus Clemson. And one thing we know, Hendon Hooker, yes, he is out, but so is DJ Ugalele, who now obviously we're gonna get into that later, that he announced he's going into the transfer portal. They have the true freshman Klubnik in this ball game. I'm gonna come to you first, Collin. You've seen Tennessee up close and personal. You've seen them firsthand, but you've also seen them after Hendon Hooker's gotten hurt. What do you think coming into this game, going up against a Clemson team they look better with the quarterback they have now, with the freshman? So what do you think about this one?
I think it's going to be a close game, actually, because I mean, even though they don't have Hooker, they still have height. They still got the offensive weapons that they have, and provided that their backup. Forgive me, I can't remember the backup's name, but he didn't play horrible. I mean, as long as he can play a solid game, I think they'll be all right. I think this is going to be a nail biter. I think they're going to be pretty close. I don't think either one of the teams is going to blow each other out. But like you said, Clemson, Clemson's having a rough go. Well, I mean, they're number 7, but I mean, that's what I just think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. I agree. Ben says if Hooker was playing, I give Tennessee, but I think Clemson wins it. Close, but I'll take Clemson in this one. I think I kind of agree with that as well. Alex, what do you think?
To me, it depends how many of these Clemson guys defensively actually play this game.
Right.
Because you've got 4 first-round defensive linemen. You've got a couple linebackers there. Like, you've got a ton of early round draft picks on that defense. And as we saw in that, Sean, but as we saw in that ACC championship game, that offense is a different animal with Cade Klubnik there. So
can we just talk about this for a second? How the hell do you score 10 points after dominating all daggone year?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
It's those seven guys that are probably going to get drafted in the first 64. That's probably got something to do with it.
Exactly.
But I think if Clemson has all these guys play, they might be able to run away with it. That being said, I do have Clemson winning it close.
Yeah. I can definitely see that coming. I think it's going to be a great game. And let's move right on down the list. Alex, I'm coming back to you. Normally, in a normal year, because I think we can agree this is not necessarily a normal year in some regards. In a normal year, this is a blowout. This is not in the Sugar Bowl. This is somewhere else. And for Kansas State to be as high as they are, we would all be questioning it. But this year, with the performance that we saw Kansas State put up in the Big 12 championship, coupling that with the fact that Alabama, we know about Gibbs as running back. We know about Bryce at quarterback. We know the defense. I'm not scared of any wide receiver that they have on that roster right now at all. So this game to me seems actually kind of a little bit more wide open for me, Alex. What are you seeing it that way, or do you think Alabama just wipes the floor with them?
Again, to me, it depends how many Alabama players show up for this game.
True.
Because, I mean, you heard Nick Saban crying and complaining for 2 weeks, saying that he needed a bowl game to care about. So maybe he's not necessarily – maybe they're not all in on this game. You never really know for certain. I actually do have Kansas State pulling the upset here.
Ooh.
In a close one. They've got that. You can keep Bryce Young off the field with Deuce Vaughn. To me, Kansas State has the right matchup to beat in Alabama. especially if Alabama's not fully invested in this game.
Yep. And I think that's where we have to look at who's going to play, who's going to be in this game. One of the other guys that I've talked about, Willie Anderson Jr. I mean, we all know. I mean, Chicago's at number 2 in the draft right
He's
now.
He's probably going there. Yeah.
Right. You know, he's probably going to go to Chicago, be a part of that. The Monsters of the Midway try to bring that back. But how much does how not even how much these guys play, how much momentum did these guys have? How much can they get amped up for a game that doesn't really mean anything, Collin?
Yeah, I mean, I would go along with what Alex said. I mean, I hesitate to say they've checked out, but I mean, since Alabama has not been the Alabama of old, I mean, you can kind of tell they're not even invested. I mean, really, I mean, you just look at them, and Bryce Young's still Bryce Young. I mean, he's still going to do Bryce Young things and that kind of stuff, man. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I see that. I mean, since they didn't get the playoff nod, then I mean, it kind of makes you wonder what they're going to do in the bowl game. You would hope they play, but and to Alex's point, who actually is going to be playing? But yeah, I agree. I think that this is presented itself for K-State to take the upset here, and I'm completely in agreement with Alex. I mean, it's what Alabama's picked to win by 3.5, so I mean they can definitely cover that, no problem. I'm sorry.
Well, Alabama could mop the floor with these guys
realistically.
If they played like they wanted to, they could destroy these guys.
Yeah,
it's which team shows up, right? It's which team that shows up to the party. And no, we shouldn't sleep on Kansas State. Both of you guys have got them winning. I'm gonna go right along with that. But yeah, this very well could be a blowout where Saban just says, "Do you remember who I am? Like I am Saban." Like where they just get charged up. But to your point,
we were talking about Saban going on TV like that. I was just like, well, wait a minute. See, there's a lot of things with him that are very uncharacteristic of him of late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the way he's talking, him and Jimbo going back and forth, and him throwing people under the bus, and this kind of, this is stuff that Saban. I mean, maybe he has, and I haven't been paying attention, but as of late, he's just been showing his face more than he usually does. He hates press conferences. I mean, he's pretty much he's just don't talk to me type of guy. He's like, why are you asking me this question? Whatever, but he's actually more, I guess, candid, you would say. But and then for him to see him on TV during the Big Ten championship of all places, not even the SEC championship, to plead their case, it's just something not very characteristic of him. So, I mean, I just wonder what's going on in that locker room right now. And I mean, in my mind also, is like, I mean, I think he signed a new contract not too long ago, but I mean, is
for a long time
about up, you know what I mean? I mean, what more can happen to him now? If he has a horrible season or not a subpar season next year, if he makes, I mean, we may see something this summer. You never know.
Right.
I'm not saying that, but
to Jared's point, the Sabans and the Belichicks of the world, they're looking a little washed. They're struggling a little bit. Yeah. And I'm gonna say, like, look, Saban, Saban said last year was a down year. So I'd hate to hear what he says about this year.
Right. Rebuilding, right?
You know what I mean? So it's gonna be very interesting. I'm with you. Benz has booked it. Alabama versus Colorado in the Affleck Bowl next year.
I don't know. He and Deion are on the outs, aren't they? I mean,
right? But are they though? Did the war of words? Because think about that. They had that war of words, but then they're booked for how many commercials throughout the season?
Yeah.
So are they just playing something?
Sean, that could have been free tape, my man.
I'm telling you. Look, but so hey, we're all kind of going for Kansas State in this one, but hey, we're very realistic on Alabama and what they could do. Let's move right on down the list in a game that I guarantee nobody expected one of these combatants to be in. USC is playing in the Cotton Bowl against Tulane. Ladies and gentlemen. Tulane. For those of you that don't know, Tulane is in Louisiana. Okay. They're a school that last year won 2 games. And now this year has turned it completely around. They're in a bowl game. I guess my first question I got to ask, Alex, are the lights too bright for Tulane in this bowl game?
Well, it depends. Kind of like Ben said, is Caleb playing?
Right.
Because if Caleb's there, the lights are too bright for Tulane, I think. But with that being said, this is where having so many spots locked up for certain conferences and like obviously the best group of 5 team where it can kind of set up some weird matchups here. Mm-hmm. Jared, USC can't tackle worth a damn, but they can sure score. So to me, that's where if Tulane can't score touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, this game's over quick.
Yeah. Caleb Williams, he can't play his 75%
exactly.
of USC's offense. Right. And
it
you also
all
got to
comes down
remember
if Caleb plays.
Right. Because you got to remember their running back, that the transfer from Oregon, he is out as well. So look, Caleb, we've seen what he can do. We saw what he did when he was injured. So let's see if he plays. But I think you're right. I think another part of this is motivation as well on this game because USC had it. All they had to do was win. They win. They're in the CFP. They were the ones who not only couldn't get it done, but got pretty handily whooped in that game against Utah. So, if Caleb doesn't play, especially with his injury, and I mean, it's like, what are you playing for? Hey, Tulane, it means something to Tulane. Them fans are going to travel, I guarantee. And I mean, it's at the Cotton Bowl. It's right in Texas. So,
this is where I think it means something for USC, though, because the majority of these guys are back next year.
True, yes.
So if you win this and you finish with only the 2 losses, you're 10-2 or whatever it is, then that sets you up better to be ranked better early next year.
Right.
Which just helps you have a better chance at the playoff as long as you handle your business throughout the year. So I think this definitely means something to Lincoln and Caleb and some of these guys that are coming back next year.
Mm-hmm. Anthony said, no, remember last year Tulane almost played spoiler against the Sooners. I think didn't they beat them? Didn't they beat them or did they almost beat them?
They almost beat them. They almost beat them.
Okay. Yeah. Tulane, they're doing something. Whatever they're doing right now is definitely working. They're playing top tier. We saw they ended up beating Cincinnati, and that was the first time that they had won a ranked game since the 80s.
It was 77 straight ranked losses.
Yes. Yeah. So shout out to Tulane for getting it done, even getting this opportunity. But yeah, I agree. I think this game comes down to a Caleb Williams. And an early fast start too, because even if they don't have Caleb and they still start fast, I think that could potentially do enough to get Tulane out of it. But Tulane's they're a feisty squad, man. Let's not count them out. Let's definitely see. Riley has difficulty making second half adjustments. He coaches really well from the front. Yeah, his first half script doesn't annihilate his opponent. His offense struggles. Yep, that's something. That's what you were saying, Alex. That if they don't get an early lead, it's an issue. What do you, Collin? What are your thoughts on this one?
No, I can agree. I mean, I think it's going to be a good game, and it's all. I think it could be a statement game for USC as well. Provided they play as well as they can. But Tulane again, Tulane, their fans travel well. So I mean, it's a big game for them as well. I mean, it's like what is it? I guess it's a 1.5 point spread there. It's gonna be a good game. It depends on what's. I mean, it's like any other game. It's like it's whatever team shows up, and I kind of give the edge to Tulane. I mean, I really do. I think they're gonna win this game.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
One, you look at Tulane. They're trying to do what Cincinnati and UCF and all these other teams have been trying to do for years is show that they can hang with these big dogs.
Exactly.
So Tulane wants to show they belong. So they're going to show up and play very hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, can they do that before quarter? That'll be the question,
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Very true. So we will definitely see, because that's definitely going to be the test. And I hope we see a good game. I hope we see a good game. And the last of the other New Year's 6 that are not in the CFP, the Rose Bowl, Utah playing Penn State. Collin, look, Utah, they've been hot. We've seen they got to 2 victories over USC. They've played major in a lot of those games in the Pac-12 and winning the Pac-12 championship. Talk to me, man. Penn State's they've been pretty solid. Weren't able to get the victories over the elites of the Big Ten, but definitely held their own and won a good number of games. Utah, Penn State, and the Rose Bowl. What are your thoughts? Who do you think's taking this one?
I mean, dude, you gotta love the Utes, man. What is a Ute? I mean, the Utes have been telling everybody what a Ute for the past couple of years. I mean, they've been up in the but important games and doing what they can. They've been beating some good teams, and they've been up there. So I mean, you look at Clifford. I mean, Clifford's had 2,500 yards this year, 22 touchdowns. I mean, he's a good quarterback for Penn State. But then again, you look at Utah. I mean, they just been not blowing people out, but I mean, they've been showing up and beating people. But I kind of would just like to see Utah win this game against Penn State. But Penn State has been winning a lot because they've been having a couple down years, and they finally seem to be on the come up here for a little while. So, but I believe Utah's going to take this.
Oh yeah, Franklin has them boys playing. I think this hits it right here, Alex. It's a toss up. It's going to be a smash mouth football played. I guess Utah 24-21. I mean, look, we know tough defenses at Penn State and Utah, solid running games. Clifford rising, although maybe the talent or the ability might be a little different. They're both gutsy. They're both battle tested. They've been around. Nothing's more evident than that first game again where Utah played Florida, and Cam Rising is giving everything he had to potentially try to win that game. What do you think about this one, Utah versus Penn State? You've seen Penn State up close. What are your thoughts, man?
This was one where as soon as they announced it, as a former offensive lineman, I was like, yes, please. Like, I cannot wait for this game. They're going to beat the tar out of each other. I expect a score kind of like 24-21. I'm going the other way, though. I'm going Penn State. To me, these two freshman running backs have played phenomenal this year. You've got Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle, is coming back next year, so he's going to be playing in this game. I know Joey Porter is not playing, but I believe Clark Phillip, the corner for Utah, also isn't playing. So it's going to be two very similar teams, but give me Penn State in a very close one.
Oh, I like that. I had to know you were going to go Big Ten. I had to see that.
This was one where literally, like, as Collin was talking, I was like, okay, which way am I going? Like,
you don't have much time. He's going to come to you soon. Which way? I mean, it's gonna be tough, and you're absolutely right. You're an 11, I was a running back, so these are the games where my number got called a lot. So I'm definitely with that. I think this is definitely gonna be like a 27, 28 ball game, or 27-24 or something close. But and I think it's going to be one of these two quarterbacks that's going to come up big late and is going to drive his team on his last potential. Well, I don't know about Cam Rising if he's leaving, but I know Clifford, who's been there I think he's got no years left. Right. I think he's collecting Social Security from the NCAA because he's been that dang on thing so long. So I think it's whichever one of them has an opportunity with the ball late in the game is going to drive their team down and get the W. I'm going to go Penn State on this one. I'm going to go Penn State because this is Clifford's last hurrah. Utah I think they're on the upswing, and Penn State, this I think is the best they're going to get with Clifford. He's solid. He's good.
They do have a 5-star young quarterback behind them. So
very true. And we've seen him. He's gotten in some action this year. I don't know. We shall see. Hopefully he doesn't get in there because we don't want Clifford to get hurt. I mean, we'll see what happens, but we'll see. It's gonna be fun. This one though, I think is gonna be one of the more exciting games for me to watch, just because it's just back and forth, good hits, good tough ball, and it's the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. You know what I mean? So gotta love it. Absolutely. Gotta love it. But let's go into the games that both of these guys care about, since my team's not even anywhere near this one. Let's get it. The CFP will start off with number 1 Georgia playing the 4th ranked Ohio State. Georgia undefeated coming into this game. Ohio State having their only loss to this guy, to the Michigan Wolverines. They didn't even know that they were going to have an opportunity to even play in this game, but thank you. I know they're very thankful to USC for not getting the job done, and they snuck back in there. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Georgia back in the title, at least in the chance to get to the title game, back in the CFP. You've done everything you need to do up to this point against a very stout Ohio State team. What are you thinking, man?
Collin. Oh no, me? I would say, yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to play, C.J. Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. That kind of stuff. But it'll be a testament to see our defense, what we can do with C.J. Stroud. We contain him. Like I said before, the way Michigan handled him pretty handily. They may be coming out hot. Just kind of just mad at the world and having an extra grind and trying to take it out on us. But I'm sorry. Like you said, I just see us we're healthy now. It would be great to have, to have Jalen back is a huge thing. Have Jalen back in our defense.
Yeah.
Amazing baby hip. But, him and the rest of the guys and offensive
Sorry. Jalen Carter looked like a grown man.
Yeah.
With one hand and waving the finger with the other. I was just like,
we too strong.
I was I'm cheering for the Rams to lose so we have a chance to get him.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. If something crazy had to happen because we're firing on all cylinders and we're healthy and we've got Brock Bowers and Big O and it showed me, and we turned it on at the end of the year like I kind of thought we were. We kind of hit a little bit of speed bump during the middle of the season, but I think we're going to handle. If these guys can handle them, I think we can handle them too, right?
There you go.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I was flipping back between the Georgia game and one of the other games, and at the moment when Jalen Carter picks him and puts the hands up, I said, "Up, the competition portion of this game's over. Let's flip back to the other one." But so, hey, Alex, you've seen their opponent. You've seen Ohio State play. You got the victory over them in the last game, or in the last regular season game. But I don't know, and maybe you could just shed some light on this. I think in that game they kind of gave me more questions than answers. What do you think of coming into this one against Georgia?
I agree with most of what Collin said. I agree that they should be able to handle them and all that. But what a lot of people don't realize is while Michigan won by 22 points, that was a 7-point game with 7 minutes to go. They were still very much in that game, and they took themselves out of that game with penalties and 2 Donovan Edwards runs for 150 yards in 2 plays. So this game is going to be a lot closer than people expect because that game with us should have been a lot closer than it was. It was a lot closer than the score showed. I do have Georgia winning it, and I would say by probably 10 points. But I would be worried about Ohio State being told they're too soft, they're too finesse and everything for a month here. Because I think they're going to be chomping at the bit to show everyone that was not the same Ohio State team. But Georgia should be able to handle their business.
Yeah. I honestly think this game comes down to the offense of Georgia versus the defense of Ohio State. Yep. Ohio State's defense is definitely underrated and has definitely come alive late in the season. Georgia's offense has been pretty solid. There's so many weapons: Brock Bowers, Big O, McConkey, the running backs. At the same time, we've seen that there have been games where they have struggled. We've seen the Kent State game. We've seen the Missouri game. We've seen games where if it is a good defense that has energy and it's consistently challenging you in those run lanes and shutting down the pass, it can be a problem. I agree Georgia's going to win this game. What I got for this one is 31-24. But I agree that it's very close late. I think it's going to be close.
Fun fact, last time we played, the first and only time we played Ohio State was back in 1993. And it was actually when was it Mike Jones? He intercepted Herb Street in the end zone. That's why Herbie hates Georgia. I guarantee you. Okay, the only time we played him, we beat him 21-14, and he got intercepted at the end of the game. So I mean, I'm sure that's right. That's been in his head for this whole time. Now I found out why he hates Georgia. So
we know who he's picking.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely picking Ohio State. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think we all have Georgia to move on.
Yeah.
And in the other game with my guy over here, and I'm gonna let you go first, Alex. The upstart TCU plays your team, which I think your team this year has proven more to me than they did last year. Last year, I thought it was like, great, okay, good. You got this far. And it was like you said, you're excited to be here. That was last year. This year, finish the job. I know, and that's a mantra for everybody. Georgia has finished the drill or whatever, but we know we have to be. Our coach came back for this. Our guys came back. We put in JJ for the opportunity to be on this platform, on this field. What are your thoughts coming up against a very solid and very motivated TCU ball club?
So Max Duggan, like I said earlier, scares the hell out of me because no matter who he's gone up against, he's shown that he can handle it. Collin Johnston on the outside is a big body receiver that can go up and get those jump balls way down the field. So Will Johnson and DJ Turner better be ready. But to me, the difference is the Michigan defense as a whole this year. They got smacked in the mouth for 60 minutes by Georgia last year, and they learned from that. We had Mozzie Smith, who was playing D tackle last year at about 300 pounds, and got manhandled by Jamari Salyer in the interior of that offensive line and went and put on 30, 40 pounds to be a bigger defensive tackle. We've got Mason Graham, a 18-year-old true freshman D tackle that's in there playing at 315, 320, and he's handling guys on the interior. So it's the ability to be bigger, stronger, faster at all three levels this year. And you're having these young contributors like Graham, like Will Johnson, these 18-year-olds that are coming in and balling out. I think that's going to be enough to handle TCU. And that defense, I think we can expose fairly easily. Mm-hmm. So I've got it a little bit more than what Ben had there. I'd say about 38-21 is where I'm going.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, Kate, and thank you, Kate, for joining the show. We knew you were going to be here. We knew if we're talking Michigan, you're going to show up somehow. All right. Yeah, no, I gotta agree with you, and I'm gonna send it to you, Collin. I love the story of TCU. I think they're great, and I think they've had a magical year. And even after that loss to Kansas State, I still think they deserve to be in this position. Alex and I were talking about it. Sure. You know, we didn't want Alabama to jump up in there, but we thought that's what they were going to lead to. But I'm glad they kept TCU in here. Yeah. With that being said, I kind of feel like TCU is just being led to the slaughter. Like
he seems a lot like we were last year, I think.
Right. I think their eyes are just very big right now. Yeah. So talk to me about this. Michigan TCU, who do you have? What do you think is going to happen in this one?
So I think it kind of goes on with what you just said, but I think, and as well as Michigan being in the playoff last year, these kids know what it's like. So they're going to have the experience under their belt, and these guys have gotten another year under their belt too. So they're more. They've more, I guess I'd say, smarter and actually learned a lot of things. And to play under that kind of atmosphere, under those big lights and big stage like that. So I think that's going to do a world for them. I'm like you. I think TCU actually is kind of. It reminds me of Notre Dame. Remember, Clemson won the national championship when Clemson played Notre Dame that one year for the first round, and then Alabama. Whoever played Notre Dame that year was going to the national championship. I feel the same way this year. I feel like, Michigan's – this is just par for the course. They're going to beat TCU, and they're going to be in the national championship playing us. That's how I feel. So, but and it's unfortunate. I'm happy that they got the spot over, you're saying, Alabama or Tennessee. Because of they only have one loss. It wouldn't be fair, to have the two lost teams in there like that. You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion. But, I have Michigan taking a running away with it, basically. But
now we will see. We will see. And for the sake of a great game, we would obviously like to see something better. But like to everything
they can run it up all they want.
Try to be impartial in the show. We're trying to be impartial.
Yeah.
All of us except this guy. I hope they're gonna. But it's. I mean, I look at it like you said, like Notre Dame, like Cincinnati a year ago. Like for all the hope and excitement I had, and see, I told you they're gonna be in this spot.
Yeah,
they still got beat by 21. So it's, you want for them to do well, and hopefully they will. But hey, right here, Kate said it. Donovan Edwards is so good. You had Blake Corum all year. He gets hurt, and then it's like the next man comes in. Edwards came in and did what he had to do. So
400 yards in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So there it is. So as you've seen, we're not going to get into this now because this could come to fruition, and when we do, we will have an entire show for these guys to duke it out. And
I hope we get to play them.
I'm ready too.
I'm that person where if you win it all, you better beat the best people along the way, and they're number 1 for a reason. So,
yep.
And you look at it, the last 2 years, the last 27 games, they're 26-1, and we're 25-2.
Oh,
so
wow. And another twist you could put on it, Georgia. Their only loss was to Alabama, and their only way they can win the title was by beating Alabama. So, could this be the Georgia of last year?
Is that hard? Is that hard? It's hard to beat a team twice, is what they say, right?
I mean, it is. Oh my goodness! Oh, revenge tour not complete. Oh my goodness!
Not quite yet.
Hey, look,
not quite yet.
Hey, look, we love it, and there are so many other bowl games to get into. If in the interest of time, we're not gonna touch on them because as we go into the bowl season, we're gonna touch on them as we go.
Yeah.
We did want to jump into a couple other things really quickly. One of them being the coaching changes that have happened recently. We've talked about a lot of the stuff that's going on. Scott Frost from Nebraska, Brian Harsin from Auburn, Jeff Collins. A lot of these guys, Herm Edwards, a lot of these guys were cut midway through the season. Another team that dropped their coach very early in the season, I think around week 5, Alex, if I'm not mistaken, the Colorado Buffaloes. They were pretty terrible, one of the last winless teams in this season. And they didn't look great all year long. But
that's being nice.
Yeah, well, no, they looked ugly. They was awful.
Yeah.
They were terrible. I mean, when I say they were the 2 winless teams, they were like out of 130 some odd teams, they were 150.
Yeah.
Like they were lower than bringing some Division 2 teams.
Bunch of those Div 3 teams
right. So having that being said, obviously they were in the market for a new coach, and something that I don't think any of us could have ever even imagined or picked out or anything. Deion Sanders becomes the new head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm going to stop here real quick, Alex. I mean, I'm excited, but I don't know how to feel about this. Right? I don't. Where do I go from here?
I mean, you look at how everything is with transfer portal and all that nowadays. He's gonna get some damn talent there. Yep. This is gonna be a whole different team. And I mean, you look at how he talked to those players and said, "Yo, best get to the transfer portal because I got baggage coming with me."
Yes,
I'm talent is following me, and it's not you guys. So hit the It was just wow, to see a coach pull that, and for him to be like, say it with me and say everything, and the players are saying it right along with them. Like after he just told you guys that you should leave, I'd be like, man, screw this guy. But it's Deion, and and he's shown that he turned Jackson State around like that,
right?
And I feel like I'll give it 2 years. I don't think year 1 year one, he'll probably win about 6-7 games. Like, he'll be bowl eligible with Colorado. But by year two, I think he could have a very, very good football team there. Because there was talk of like over 200 transfer portals people out of the 1,000+ that are there.
Yeah.
We're hitting up Deion saying, "Hey, can I come play for you in Colorado?"
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna get some very talented players there.
He absolutely is. And look, if not for anything else than just the name. Look, we saw what he did with the number one recruit. He had them flip from Alabama to Jackson State and had all that interest, all that talk about, oh, are they paying? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? We don't know the full backstory, but we do know it's Deion. And when it's Deion, people are gonna come. Collin, what you think, man?
I was gonna say he actually just hired, I think, or in the process of hiring one of Alabama's offensive coordinators. I think he offensive coordinator, but he actually is in the process of one of their coaches. I think it's the offensive coordinator. I'm not positive. I think it is in the works and should be happening soon. But yeah, he is. And then I read a little bit about the backstory, what you're talking about, Sean, about Jackson State. I think a lot of things went down there behind the scenes. I think they owed him money, and that they're not paying him that kind of stuff. And he wanted to coach the bowl game this year, but I think they're not letting him coach the bowl game because I think he was due like
they have told him
$100,000 or something crazy. It was like if he made a bowl game, it was about $700,000 to $500,000 or something like that. They're not letting him coach because they're not going to pay him or something like that. It's just a whole mess. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why he left. And in my opinion, I mean, I would leave. I mean, don't pay me, I'm going. But I mean, it's a shame because I mean of the environment that he created at Jackson State. But he'll do the same thing at Colorado, obviously. And a lot of those kids and coaches the luggage that he brings with him, they know how he rolls. And they may not like it right at the beginning, but I mean, it shows what can be done. If you follow him and do what he says and what he wants you to do. But I'm like Alex. I was laughing when I saw him talking to all those kids, and these kids like slouching in the chair with the hoodies and everything. Like, you're going, you're going, you're going. Yep. And that's fun, dude. I mean, he's in the middle, and in his mind, he's like, all right, you going, you hoodie, hat, all that kind of stuff. But,
well, I mean, look at how he talked to those players at Jackson State. It was, if you're like, your arms aren't showing, you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, you're not having any jewelry showing, you're not even like mismatched socks. Like, he was very, very strict on these guys. You're sitting in the front of class. If your grade slip below this, you're off the team. Like, he was very strict with those guys, and they followed it to a T.
Yeah, basically his point was, I'm the way I am because of what I've done. I can wear this jewelry. I can do this because of what I've done and what I've achieved. When you get here, then you can do all that kind of stuff. It ain't time to be flashy now. You go to work. And I can be prime. I wasn't prime, in FSU, when I was, before I got to the NFL, then I became prime,
Right. And it's funny. And then, to your point, to your guys' point, like, you see in the locker room, like, he'll say before a game, like, what do you need to have your cell phone for? If you're not locked in, you don't need to be here. Get out of here. So that, I think, will be great for him. Now, I do need to address the other elephant in the room, which has been brought up. Nate brought it up just the other day. With Coach Prime leaving, a lot of his rhetoric prior to that was him being in Jackson State, being at the HBCU, was to bring attention and to bring a lot of funds and money and spotlight to the HBCUs. What do we think by him moving, by him leaving? Does he broken his promise to these HBCUs, or in those 2 years, has he garnered enough spotlight? Because let's be honest, I don't know that many people had even an eye on Jackson State at all, even if you live down there. And I mean, to be honest, it takes some of the football historians to even know that that's where Walter Payton went. A lot of people don't know anything about Jackson State. So the fact that it is a household name now says something. But, and I'm coming to you, Alex, is this going along with kind of the coaching thing where it's kind of like all these coaches, oh yeah, I'm going to say what I need to say to get the guy, and then after that, it's about me getting the next job? Because I love he's growing, but it's like, do we expect him to stay at Jackson State for 20 years or something like that? Like, what does this say to him, or does it say anything?
I think if even half of that stuff that came out about the money at Jackson State is true, I think that's absolutely why he left.
Yeah,
because it was after $300K in ticket sales, he was supposed to get a portion of that. He never saw any of it. There was a portion of money that was supposed to come to him and his staff that never showed up.
Right.
He paid out of pocket for tennis courts, locker rooms, athletic facilities, and we saw these Jackson State kids being taken care of with all these fancy meals and all that. School had nothing to do with that. That was all out of Deion's pocket. Deion was paying out of pocket for these bowl games. Like, the school didn't help him very much.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's moving on now.
Yeah. Jared said he laid the blueprint for HBCUs to follow, and he more than fulfilled his promise to them. He told them what it was from the jump. Absolutely. I love that. And then Kate said no, because Jackson State didn't keep their promise to him. They weren't doing the right thing with his money that he was bringing in. Yeah. Because look, that all that attention and shout out to my granddaddy, who is the total college football purist. And I was like, Granddaddy, look at this. HBCUs on national television. This is, well, we had to get prime time in here. Don't nobody want to see prime time. I don't want to see. I was like, Granddaddy, but we're on TV. We're on national TV. We're only on it because of prime time. They're just paying attention to prime time. I was like, God, come on, Granddaddy. This is progress. This is progress. Come on.
At least you're there. Like,
yeah.
So look, this is far more attention than any of us would have ever taken to put on that school. So shout out to them. But this is not the daggone Deion Sanders segment, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. We didn't want to bring him up and talk about it. But there have been a number of other coaches that have gone on and have gone somewhere. We talk about Auburn. Brian Harsin, he left. They had Cadillac come in, and Cadillac, to his credit, got the first victory. I think it was over Texas A&M, and that first game was able to get that, and that was great. And Collin, I'm coming to you. Yeah. Now it's Hugh Freeze. We know Hugh Freeze in his history in the SEC. What are your thoughts on him? What do you think he'll do at Auburn? Is Auburn irreparable? Like,
I don't know if they're irreparable, but I have to laugh at this because all his social media is being watched right now. Hugh Freeze is it's in his contract. Like he has all his social media and all his social interactions are being. He's being like spied on. It's just like a private investigator. All his has disclosed all his passwords, all that kind of stuff like that. So they're definitely putting a handle on him. So what happened before won't happen again. But and honestly, Lane Kiffin's having a field day with this too. But I don't know. It's funny to watch. But I hope the best. I don't think it's irreparable, but you can't overlook the fact that it's been tarnished pretty badly over the past couple of years. And the thing that amazes me is the money they're shelling out for these coaches. It's crazy. Like they keep Gus, they still paying Gus. You're gonna obviously pay Harsin. They're paying him out. So but I'm not gonna say they're gonna run out of money. They've got enough cash to probably do it, but it's just insane to me how they pay all these coaches that only stay 1 or 2 years. And that goes back to kind of what we were talking about Deion. Do they go in and do they have the mindset of they're going to go in and coach for X amount of years? Right. But then again, when one party doesn't follow through with their promise or commitment, then you got to go. So either part of it, right? Either if it's the school or you're not performing, the coach's not performing, or the school's not doing what they said or helping you out or paying you, whatever, something's got to change. So, like we said before, though, it's in their contracts to get paid, and they're getting paid. So, it's unfortunate, but I hope the best for Auburn because, I'd hate to see any school go through what all the negative light they've been going through in the past. So, But hopefully he'll turn around and he'll behave himself. So,
well,
we shall see about that.
right. Yeah, that remains to be seen, and hopefully he can turn that program around, because it's a shame to see how kind of far they've fallen over in recent years.
Right.
Let's go to the Big Ten. Nebraska. We know Scott Frost. They cut him very early in the season, and helped that loss to Northwestern very early. Then, and you also got Wisconsin, who let go of I don't know. Paul Chris. I always want to say Brett Bielema. I don't know why I want to say that, but they let go of Paul Chris. Both of them have made moves and got new guys. We know in the NFL, Matt Rule used to coach the Carolina Panthers. He is now over in Nebraska. And for Wisconsin, the old coach of Cincinnati, Luke Fickell, is going there. And as Kate has so eloquently decided to tell me, UNC is about to lose a coordinator to Fickell in Wisconsin, I saw. So who is that coordinator? Because I want to know.
I believe it's your offensive coordinator.
Is it really?
That's what I've heard.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay. We're going to move on from that one. I'm not talking about anything. My basketball team stinks right now. You know what? Alex, I'm not going to let you get me off track. Alex, talk to me about these two teams in the Big Ten. What do you think about these two moves?
As a Michigan fan, I absolutely hate them because it's two very good college coaches. As a Big Ten fan and just a football fan in general, I love the hires. We saw what Matt Rule did at Temple and at Baylor. I mean, Baylor was a dumpster fire when he got there, and he turned it around extremely quickly. Obviously, the NFL didn't work out, but he's a phenomenal college football coach. I expect him to turn Nebraska around very quickly. With how Nebraska still being a blue blood, they still can recruit very well. And Matt Rule's shown the ability to recruit very well. So I think they turn it around quickly. And Wisconsin isn't that bad off. And then you get a coach like Luke Fickell, who, when there were the rumors of Harbaugh leaving last year, I was like, okay, it would suck to see him go. But if we could get Luke Fickell, it would lessen the blow a little bit. So I'm a big fan of both these guys. And I hate to have to play them. At least they're in the other division, both of them. So, hopefully we only have to play them once a year and it's a conference championship or something that.
Oh, yeah. And, hey, shout out to both of those schools getting coaches that have had success, like you mentioned, and bring kind of a little bit of credibility back to the Big Ten. We needed that with some of these schools that have been perennial powers over in the past. Nebraska, we know about all the great years in the 80s and early 90s with them. And then you have Wisconsin, who we can name all of the different running backs that have come out of there, the Monte Balls, the Melvin Gordons, the Jonathan Taylors. Like, we can name all those guys that came out of that school. So we know what you have at Wisconsin, and bringing somebody like Luke Fickell, that's great. I want to knock out two more names real quick. Cincinnati. So now then they had to get a new coach, Scott Satterfield. He's the one who took over the Cincinnati coach. So we'll see how that goes. But in the one that surprised me the most, you talk about former NFL players coaching college ball. UAB, ladies and gentlemen, has a new coach.
Yeah.
Trent Dilfer is coaching them. I didn't even know Trent Dilfer was a coach.
So he's been a very good high school coach for a few years.
Yeah.
But if you look up Trent Dilfer coaching, the first thing you're going to see is him. He got a little out of hand on the sideline the one time. One of his players kind of talked back to him, so he grabbed him by the shoulder pads, threw him on the bench, and was yelling at him.
Yeah,
it's all over the place. You can find it very easily. So that one was a little surprising to me, more for what happened in the high school teams.
Right.
But he was a very successful high school coach, so let's see if we can bring it to this level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, when you got Dion with the hit the transfer portal, you got Trent Dilfer. I'm gonna throw you on the. I'm gonna throw you on the.
Right?
Two different coaches. Let's see how it plans out.
Yo, in 10 years, ladies and gentlemen, it's just gonna be a whole bunch of coaches in college that were ex-NFL players. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just all it's gonna
Hey,
be.
Jeff Saturday, even I mean, the NFL coach. I mean, where's the? I mean, just.
Yeah, that one blew my mind when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, that is not an NFL show, but
Guys, we have a chance. We have a chance. If we stay in this field, keep talking about it, and learn some offenses and defenses, we have a shot. We have a shot.
Yo.
Let's go. Let's go. Yo. So, hey, we got to move on. We got one more thing to talk about, something that's directly affected to the coaching changes. Look, with all these guys moving, a lot of the things that people ask and wonder is who's going with you? You know, I think, I don't know if you guys ever know that movie, Half Baked, where he said that he's like, I just want to know who's coming, man. Who's coming, man? They just want to know who's coming with them. And as we saw a year ago out of Oklahoma, you see their coach. He goes out there and goes to USC. Who follows him? The stud receiver, the stud quarterback. So this is something that definitely is prevalent now in college football, and it's more prevalent because of the transfer portal. So there are a number of names out there. I sent you guys to the list. I mean, I'll name off a couple just quarterbacks that step out to me, but, you know, Devin Leary out of NC State, you know, unfortunately he got the injury, so he wasn't able to finish out the season. DJ Uiagalelei, who we saw was taken, he was replaced after he did the first 2 drives, and he played really poorly in the ACC championship. Klubnik came in there, and the rest was history.
He should have been benched way before that. But
absolutely.
Months ago.
In my opinion, I mean, credit to Dabo for, you know, being just stubborn with sticking with him over. He's our guy. But I'm gonna be honest with you. You're absolutely right. Klubnik, I saw it the first time I saw Klubnik get in there. It was just better vibe. He was just closer with the team, and the ability you can't deny it. You cannot deny it. He's the better quarterback, in my opinion. So Uiagalelei's gone. Hudson Card from Texas. He's another guy that's gone. Alex, I'm coming to you. Like, you see a lot of these names. I mean, what did you say? Over 1,000 names on the first day?
As of last night, there were over 1,000. Well, yeah, as of Monday night, there were over 1,000 players in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
that is crazy. That's crazy.
And I mean, you listed off some of those names, but even more just at the quarterback position. You got Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech there. Brennan Armstrong from Virginia. We had Cade McNamara transfer, Keaton Slovis, JT Daniels, Graham Mertz, Hank Bachmeier. Like, a ton of starting quarterbacks are in the transfer portal. Like, it's absolutely insane. And then you have Trey Sanders, the running back. Like, it's just, there's so many high-quality players that, I mean, we talked about it off the screen, or off the show. You've got JT Daniels, who's going to his 4th team.
4, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, it's getting a little ridiculous. With the transfer portal and how it is now. So I think they got to tighten it up a little bit. Maybe one immediate eligibility, and then maybe on your grad transfer year immediate eligibility. But in between, if you transfer again, I think you got to miss a year.
There's got to be something. There absolutely has to be something that prohibits these guys from just being able to get up and leave. Because what does that show? And maybe it's what the coaches do. You know, kind of like you were saying, the coaches leave after 1 or 2 years after they've said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be here for a couple of years. I'm signing these 8-year contract," and then they up and leave after a year or two. So, can we really blame these players for doing essentially what the coaches are doing?
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, maybe they're seeing that. But, I mean, we've talked, Sean, you and I have talked about this even with Anthony on our previous shows, talking about there had to be some kind of limit because, I mean, you can't just be able to bounce around so many times.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I mean, it kind of begs the question that are there it's kind of a blessing and a curse for these college teams. I mean, use Georgia as an example. You get all these 5-star quarterbacks, but what do? They end up sitting on the bench. Only one can play. You know what I mean?
Right.
What are they going to do? They're not going to sit there and waste away your collegiate career sitting on the bench as a backup if they don't get any field time. So, I mean, what else are they expected to do? I mean, now, do I think they should be able to bounce around so much? Probably not. But I mean, to have like a sit out a year but still that takes 1 year of their eligibility, or maybe have some kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the fix for it, but I mean, it may be a part of it being there are so many good players like 5 stars or 4 stars coming out of high school that there's not enough room to put them or to play them. There's not enough schools to have them start. But I mean, how do you fix that? No idea. But I mean, to your point though, I mean, there's something got to be done, and maybe for the coaches as well, because I mean, they're watching these coaches bounce around, and I mean, I should be able to do that too. And right now they are. Right. But the difference is before they weren't getting paid money. Now they have the NIL deal, so now they have money, and it doesn't really matter where they go. They're just trying to go get play time. So,
and that's what Jared's saying. Nobody cares about how many times you transfer if you're winning. Like that's the issue that I think we're turning into. Is just like it's all about the win. It's not about creating a chemistry. It's not about sticking with somebody or sticking to your word.
There's no loyalty, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Let me preface this by saying this. I was one that was all about the transfer portal. Because I thought what it was going to do was it was going to even some of these schools out. And you're going to have some of these lesser schools being able to come up because they have the talent that they might not have been able to get through how things were before in recruiting. But this, I got to agree with you guys. This is too much. This is just too much. You can't do it each year.
Yeah. Just for reference, Sean, I mean, like I sent you guys. So I mean, I'm looking at it now. So there was 171 total for the SEC, conference. There are 126 for the Pac-12, 124 for the Big Ten, 120 for the ACC, 96 for the MAC, 91 for the AAC, 87 for the Conference USA, 85 for the Big 12, Mountain West 84, and the Sun Belt 67. So, I mean, everybody's above 50. I mean, there's 50 players per conference are hitting the pool.
Yeah. So, now look. So, I'm trying to look at it from a positive perspective, because, like I said, immediately when I first thought, I was like, "This is great. This is free agency. This is good because you're going to give people chances." What about, like you said, Collin? What about that quarterback that was all world and optimist, all world in middle school, comes into high school's all world, and then is now the 5th string quarterback somewhere? Yeah. He wants to play, and he can go somewhere else and play, and he can go to a smaller school. Is that still beneficial, or is it getting lost in the fact that, if this doesn't work for me, then I'm going to go here?
Well, how does it play out when he gets a scholarship? You know what I'm saying? Say he's so good enough to go to college, he gets a scholarship to come there. But he's not going to play, but he's on scholarship, right? So where does that fall?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be a big problem. I mean, he could go to a smaller school on scholarship as well. We may not be on the bigger stage that he would have been for this bigger school, but he would still get the playing time, but he won't be or get the quality education that he would get at this school compared to that one, or however you want to look at it. I mean, when you throw a scholarship in there, I think that's where it gets kind of dicey.
Oh yeah, and then Alex, and then throw in NIL deals. Then it gets real dicey, because now you're talking about, we don't know what's in the parameters of the deal, but, some of these deals say, well, you got to stay here this many, years, or this many snaps you got to take, yada, yada, yada. So what does that say?
Well, and then at the same time, say that the deal is for $1 million each year. Now, say I go to transfer, do I have to pay a certain portion back? Like how does all this work? Like what's the terms in all these contracts? And then when you transfer, does your NIL deal transfer with you, or do you open up bidding again, essentially? Like, I mean, for me, where the whole issue with this is you look at, for example, USC, where you had a team that won 4 games last year, and you bring in a coach and he brings in 5 big-time players with them, and then obviously everyone else follows, and you bring that 4-win team to a 10, 11, 12-win team like that. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened to building these teams the right way? Because Everyone's going to be on USC. And then who knows, 2 years from now when Jordan Addison's gone, Mario Williams is gone, Caleb Williams is gone, all these guys, maybe they fall right back down to being irrelevant again.
Yeah.
Like this, you don't build any consistency for these programs.
I'm wondering if it will eventually turn into kind of like a LeBron situation with basketball, bringing all these players.
Just keep building super teams, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It may end up being that way. That's just
Kate said Michigan lost a huge commit because of an underperforming Miami gave him a better NIL deal. Money talks.
Was that a $10 million guy?
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
that was insane.
That's crazy.
Never stepped foot on a collegiate football field. It's $10 million.
Never. Like, come on.
He's making more than Trevor Lawrence is in an NFL season. That guy's making more in a college football season. Like,
right?
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so they got to put a cap on it. They have to put a cap on it. But I think to your point,
but I do like Alex's idea with the paying the money back, or maybe putting a pause on the money if there's that kind of stuff. If you don't stick around, you have to stick around at least a year, maybe 2 years or whatever. Put that caveat, put that in the agreement or contract or whatever.
Didn't they say that you had to wait a year if you transferred twice?
It used to be that way.
It used to be even if you transferred once, it used to be on a conditional basis that you got immediate eligibility.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was after the
there were people where they transferred because a family member was dying, and it was like, too bad you're sitting a year.
Yeah, that
now it's like open the gates. Go where you want.
Yeah, right. Do whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go here? You can play right away. Oh, you want to go here? Oh, this one didn't work. Go to another one. Like,
right.
It's quite ridiculous.
I fear. See, this is where we have to get a cap on it, because I fear it gets to a point where it's like, oh, you had a terrible first 3 games. All right, we'll transfer over here, and you can play in week 9 now or something. And it's like in the same season you're playing for 2 different teams. It's like no.
Well,
like,
all these players are so focused on getting to the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if you sit as the backup 1 year and you demand to get traded? Too bad. Sit your ass down. You're on a contract. Like,
exactly.
You're not learning anything for what you want your next level to be.
Yeah. And even the NIL deals and that kind of stuff is kind of slowing that down, in my opinion. I mean, they're not rushing to get that bag from the NFL. They've already got that bag in college. It's not. It kind of makes you wonder how much of an importance is it? I'm not saying these players aren't love the game of football, but I mean some maybe not, maybe just going to play the money. But I know the majority don't. They love the game and want to make it to the NFL. But it just begs the question,
But at the end of the day, I mean, all of us can say that give us pads, give us our youth, and we would do it for free every single day.
Absolutely.
But if you attach some money on that, and then I realized that place over there said they're going to give me more money for doing the same thing that I'm doing with you.
Yeah,
that's stuff that we didn't think about coming up, and now these young kids, and look, Collin, to your point, you've been talking about this since August.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We've been talking about it too, Alex, since August, and it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? So they're gonna have to put some kind of regulations, some stipulations on these guys moving, on the money they get, on what is happening with them. With that being said, sometimes it works out well. We saw the coldest Crawford had that deal with the HVAC place, or the air conditioning place.
But now even he's transferring too.
Right. I saw that. So I wonder what happens.
So it's does he get that air conditioning deal if he transfers
high hotels,
Minnesota, or like
right? What happens to the commercials? Like, did they switch the commercials?
Wait a minute. So the mailman is no longer the mailman; he's the milkman. So he got any idea with some milk. So he's a milkman now. He changed his name to the milkman.
Yeah. Oh, hey, this is absolutely
he's not wrong here.
It's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
We know it.
That is absolutely
we know
right.
it. It's now just like I always say this. It's just like the cannabis industry. It was always going on. It was just it was widely unaccepted. Now they're accepting it and they're just taxing it. They're putting money. Same thing.
That was a meme I saw on Facebook. I can't remember. It was I don't know whether it's true or not, but it was a hilarious caption on it. Was I guess I'm just old school. I'd rather pay pay these kids under the table like we did back in the day and not make them. There was a guy in Alabama sweater. I don't think it wasn't fair, but it was just an awesome caption with an older guy. He's like, I guess I'm just old fashioned. I'd rather pay them under the table like we used to.
I'm telling you, you know what was going on.
Oh, you know what's going on.
It was crazy. It was crazy, the money. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure some of that stuff was still going on up until the minute the NIL deal stuff came in.
Look at SMU with the death penalty. Like,
oh, God.
What they were doing with some of those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. CJ Stroud signs a $200,000. He drives a $200,000 car because of the NIL deal. Wow. Must be nice, sir.
I'd have a chauffeur. I would have $200,000 car. I'd have somebody drive me around.
Exactly. Wow. In my Hyundai, I'd be like, yeah, no. Here you go. You got the keys. I'm sitting back here.
Hyundai limo. On Hyundai stretch.
Right. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you hopping on. This has been a college football update, and we just wanted to touch in with you guys just to, let you know we're still around. You know what I mean? Wow. Definitely doing it during the week. The bowls are coming up, so we will be starting to hop on here more frequently, talking about some of these bowl games. Definitely want you to tune in and see what we got. Check out my guy down here, Mr. Collin P from the DMV. Talk about the UGAINTE. I can't do it. All right,
I'm surprised you don't write that stuff down.
If you want to hear the full thing, just tune in.
That's great. That's right.
Absolutely.
Then they do their show this week in Georgia football, and it's on fire. They 2 seasons now, been killing it, doing great things, and continually winning. And I love seeing as you guys progress. So definitely keep that up, my guy. And hey, you know where to see this guy. Hey, he's on Friday nights NSD. He's on Thursday nights NFL edition. And doing big things, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I am. It is an honor for me to be able to hang out with these 2 guys, talk college football.
Right back at you.
I mean, it is great. Other than that, I'd be sitting here talking my girl's ear off, and that don't go well. She gets annoyed quickly. None of this is
possible without you. Don't forget that.
I'm just glad we have the space and opportunity to get down and do this thing. So let's go.
I appreciate you making me do this thing. So I mean,
oh yeah. All right. But I'm getting the shut from the producer, so I got to get out of here. Hey, ladies and gentlemen,
my boy's probably upstairs running around. I don't even know.
Right. He's like, "Oh, Daddy's busy. It's go time."
I hear the pitter patter of feet upstairs.
Oh, you know it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna send you guys out with the commercial. Has all the shows that we have in the Let's Talk Football community. Stay tuned. Got something going on tomorrow night. Let's Talk Football Ladies Takeover has their new permanent host on there, Nicole Klatchat, will be joining the cast. So excited to see what that's doing. So Stay tuned, pay attention, enjoy it. We'll be here next time. Peace, everybody.